The boat rally I've ever been at, but this is good. Glad to have you all here. Appreciate it. It's a beautiful evening in the Helena Valley, as you can tell, and we've got a great lineup of folks to visit with you tonight. And then we're going to start with a lady by the name of Catherine Scott, who's running for Senate District 40. Catherine likes to hunt, she likes to fish, she likes to bowl, she likes to swim. She's married to a fellow by the name of Steve Scott. Between the two of them, they got a couple kids. And she has spent her life in public service. I shouldn't say that. Maybe the last 25, 30 years, something like that, in public service. And she'll make a great Montana State Senator. Give it up for Catherine Scott.
I'm running for Senate District 40. For those of you who don't know what Senate District 40 is, it goes into it goes into Wolf Creek, Montana. It goes down to Deer Lodge, Montana. So it's Lewis and Clark County as well as Powell. I go into North Valley, East Valley, as well as West Valley. I believe in women's rights, and I think we have an attack on women's rights here, particularly with personhood bills being introduced into the state legislature. I think that we should not be doing this. We should have women have their choice. Additionally, in the 2017, the Republican-led legislature defunded a lot of programs for mental health and public health services. And as someone that is going for their doctorate in public health, and hopefully will have their doctorate in May of 2021, I believe that we should be funneling the necessary resources and funds to those areas to help Montanans out. One of the things that we struggle with in this state is a high suicide rate. Montana,
who is she?
Will fall between the first and the fifth in the nation for suicide. And so, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand also is that our children from the ages of 11 to 17 are actually 3 times higher in suicide rates than the national average. Now, this is a tragedy.
Yeah, we're trying to get them to count inmates because it's going to affect, things that happen out here, like for programming for inmates, and they're not allowing them to put the tribal affiliation on there, which is going to be, very detrimental for not only Native people, but a lot of people that, we've been trying to get Steve Bullock and them to do it, but they won't do it. They can do it. There's an extension to October 31st, but they won't do it. And we've been following them every rally. We just came from the Indian Affairs office, and they're not doing nothing, because of this whole election. Yeah, and we've been posting everything, about this, what we've been doing and what they're not doing. And we kind of did a ballot strike right now until they act. So we're big Bullock, supporters. My family has been for years, and he's not doing nothing. Fraud, a lot of fraud, census fraud, that money, there's a lot of money at stake here, and it's not only just with Tester, or it's not only just with Bullock's office, it's both sides, that's a slush fund. So, and they're robbing the people by not counting them.
Hey, thanks, Catherine. Great job. So, next we have...
That's why we're here. We've been following them, and they haven't been answering us. And my name is Josh Butterfly. I'm with Project Open Doors out of Great Falls, and what we do is we assist individuals who get out of prison to get back on their feet, and it makes our job hard when they don't do this stuff for, our people. People who were incarcerated, that get out. Yeah, so we're trying to get this situated, get them to do their job, but
First and foremost, I'm a mom.
they keep avoiding
I'm
us.
also a Montanan. I'm a product of
Yeah,
Montana's public
and
schools.
all this money they get for campaigns, that can be used for the people, you know, instead of spending all this millions of dollars for, you know, just to get in there and they don't do nothing, you know. But we're trying to get them to do something. Hopefully they'll do it by the 31st, or it's going into litigation.
Teacher of the year. And I'm running to be your state superintendent because it is time to restore competent and focused leadership.
See, like what they're
public instruction. You know, this race is not
and see, they intentionally got people sick. That Jesse Slaughter intentionally sent people to institutions because the Department of Corrections and the Sheriff's Association, or whoever they are with Jesse Slaughter, they've been fighting for that position that Reg Michael holds, and they've been asking to let people out, and then Bullock won't do it, or Reginald, so out of spite he sent infected people to the prison population, and that's why they broke out. Deer Lodge, Shelby, and Great Falls, all of them. So they,
letting a lot of people out.
yep. And see, they like, that's one of the main transmissions is in these institutions, is cars going in and coming back out to the communities, and that's how they spread it, but they're focusing the blame on the schools. So they need to be held accountable for that too. Yeah, the jails and nursing homes that are really,
cares about students who attend private schools. My vision does not include a state superintendent.
But we're trying, you know, all we can do is try, you know, but we want results now because we still have time to get these people counted, you know, and they could do it, but they're worried about a campaign right now, and they're forgetting about the people that vote them in, and they're going around to the reservations and asking people to vote for them and lying to them about what they're doing to the people. So yeah, it's crazy.
We certainly can't rely on her now when the stakes
Greed.
are so high.
Greed gets them, you know, they get that position of power and then all the money.
I cannot wait to advocate for our students and our schools and to move Montana forward now more than ever. We need a leader at the Office of Public Instruction. We need a leader who is going to show up every day and work to protect and promote high-quality public education in Montana. We need a leader who is a strong and vocal advocate for all kids, from our 4-year-olds to our 21-year-olds, especially at the legislature and when it comes to funding our public schools. And Montanans need and we deserve a leader who truly understands the day-to-day
right? He's an attorney and he's damn smart, and he'll look out for the consumers. Give it up for Shane Marshall!
Well, good evening, Helena. My name is Shane Morjo, and I'm your Democratic nominee for Montana State Auditor. And I grew up just down the road here in Ronan, Montana. Grew up in rural Montana, bucking bales and changing pipe for my neighbors. And I'm so proud to be in Helena tonight, to be here with all of you. But before I get started, I want to see if you'll honk for all of our volunteers for being out here in this terrible weather. I also want to ask you guys 2 questions to start out. I want you to honk your horn if you have car insurance. Honk your horn if you have any type of insurance. So I hope you honked on the first one because you're legally supposed to have that. But the point of that is that insurance touches our lives in so many ways. And it's really critical that we have a consumer protection advocate in the Office for State Auditor because it regulates all the insurance industries and securities industries in Montana. And I want to share a story with all of you tonight. A reason why this office is so personal to me is the history of my grandmother. My grandmother was sexually abused in the Ursuline schools at the St. Ignatius. And last session, I carried a bill to increase the statute of limitations for victims of child sex abuse. And guess who the only opposition to that legislation was? Insurance companies. And so for me, that was an eye-opening experience where I realized that companies really will and are putting their financial interests ahead of all of you. So it's really critical that we have someone, once again, in this office that's looking out for Montanans. So we all know that representation matters. And in the legislature, we got a lot of amazing things done. We passed Medicaid expansion with the help of Governor Bullock, Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney, Casey Schreiner, Kathleen Williams. Honk your horn for them. And so representation matters because we can get a lot done together when we have a team elected. And there's a big difference between the candidates you have coming up here today and the candidates that we're running against. Most of those candidates, I would argue, are very disconnected from the realities of our communities and the needs of our communities.
So are these
For
ones.
example, my opponent, even for most of the time he's lived in Montana, he lived at the Yellowstone Club. To me, there's a big difference in where we come from, and that matters when we're elected officials for public office. There's also some major contrast between me and my opponent. My opponent has advocated for getting rid of Medicaid expansion with no replacement, putting people at risk, over 100,000 Montanans at risk without health care. My opponent committed numerous hunting violations. He committed just not 1, but 7 campaign fairness violations just a couple months ago. How are we supposed to trust someone like that to regulate and keep industry accountable? More than that, my opponent has advocated for getting rid of gender-neutral laws in Montana to allow insurance companies to discriminate against you based on your gender. So there's some major differences in our opponents. And the last thing I wanted to say about the contrast with me and my opponent is my opponent comes from insurance industry. And he's literally the fox guarding the hen house. And for me, it's a bit disingenuous that my opponent has dinged his opponents in the primary for being from insurance industry, yet now he's advocating and selling himself as an insurance industry guy. So there's some major differences between us. But what I think is important is what are the contrasts that I'm going to bring to the office. going to do everything I can to protect Montanans with pre-existing conditions. I'm going to crack down on predatory junk insurance and defend Montana consumers. I'm going to do everything I can to protect Montanans with pre-existing conditions.
Who's that?
And with a unified land board, we'll do everything we possibly can to protect our public lands and keep our public lands in public hands. Montanans defend the consumer protection advocate with an independent voice. We're going to bring that voice to the state auditor's office. So if you want a state auditor who's going to protect Montanans from junk insurance and crack down on predatory junk insurance, defend consumers, and protect seniors, honk your horn. If you want a state auditor that's going to defend Montanans with pre-existing conditions, honk your horn. And if you want a state auditor that's going to defend our public lands, honk your horn. I want to say again, thank you all so much for having us tonight. Please visit ShaneForMontana.com. Chip in and help us down the stretch here. Thank you so much, Helena.
How about that Shane Marceau? Yeah! The man for the job. Well, now I got to introduce the guy that's got the coolest name up here. Rafe Graybill is running for Attorney General. I want to tell you a little story about Rafe Graybill. It was in Washington, D.C. He had a case that he had just won, and there were 4 speakers. There were the 3 members of the congressional delegation, myself included. There was Rafe Graybill. He kicked all our butts. Truth is this guy is incredibly talented. He's an incredibly talented attorney, and he will do one heck of a job being the Attorney General for Montana. Give it up for Rafe Graybill!
Hello, Helena. How's it going out there today? All right, before we get started, if you received a ballot this weekend, honk your horn. If you have voted your ballot, honk your horn. If you're going to get your friends to vote their ballots, honk your horn. All right, good. This is a get out the vote rally after all. I'm Rafe Graybill. I have the distinct pleasure of being your Democratic nominee for Attorney General. Thank you. And what I want to do tonight is I want to make an argument to you about why the Attorney General's race matters to your everyday life. And why in particular this election, your choice, your vote in the Attorney General's race could make a tremendous difference to you and the people that you care about. Now to do that, I'm going to need some of your help. You have those horns ready? Yeah? All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I want you to think about the people in your life that you love, that you would do anything for. Now, if you know someone who has survived cancer, honk your horn. Does anybody out there know someone who struggles with their weight, with diabetes, with heart disease? Honk your horn. Does anyone know someone or love someone who struggles with addiction or mental illness? Honk your horn. Well, I'll tell you, those issues have touched my family too, and I feel for you, and I will pray for you. But I am also here with a message for you. You see, there's a lawsuit right now at the United States Supreme Court. And the goal of that lawsuit, brought by Republican attorneys general, is to take the struggles, the successes of the people that you love, and turn them into an excuse for insurance companies to charge them more money, to rip away their care. It's wrong, and we have to stop it. I'll tell you, I'm running against perhaps the most extreme Republican ever to receive his party's nomination for office in Montana, a guy named Austin Knudsen. Well, Austin Knudsen said the entire reason he's running for Attorney General is to support that lawsuit. Think about that. He wakes up in the morning, he brushes his teeth, he goes out to campaign in order to Democratic attorneys general, we can stop this monster. Now, we're not just going to stop there at the attorney general's office. We're going to do more than that. We're not just going to do this. We're going to go after the big prescription drug corporations jacking up prices on prescription drugs. We're going to fight to make sure our criminal justice system recognizes addiction as an illness and a disease, and is founded on principles of fairness and equality in our society. We're going to fight for clean air and clean water in Montana. Now here's another issue that the Attorney General You sick of waiting in line for your driver's license when you renew it? We released a comprehensive plan just last week to make it so that you can renew your license online, title your car online, so you can get in, get out, and get on with it.
Which one you got?
Now we can do these things.
This one upside
We can
down.
make the Attorney General a people's lawyer, an advocate for you in your daily life. But I'm going to need your help. You see, the reason you see these dark money ads on TV is they're afraid of the power of your vote. Because this is America and your vote still matters. You still decide our elections. So where I don't have a big junk trunk full of dark money from big tobacco, I do have you, and I do have your help. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions to round this out. If I can get those horns ready, if I can count on you to vote for Rafe Graybill for Attorney General, honk that horn. If I can count on you to get your friends and your family to vote for Rafe Graybill, honk that horn. If I can get your friends and your family to vote for all these Democratic candidates up here tonight, honk that horn. Good night, God bless.
Let's hear it for our next Attorney General, Rafe Graybill. Now I get the opportunity to introduce to you one fella that's running for the Secretary of State, and we all know how important this job is. This is about making sure that all the votes are counted, and we need somebody in that position to do exactly that. I give to you our next Secretary of State, Bryce Bennett.
Hello, Helena! Are you all fired up? Are you ready to vote? You're ready to do this thing! All right, folks! My name's Bryce Bennett. I'm a fifth-generation Montanan. I'm a state senator. I'm a voting rights advocate, and with your help, I will be Montana's next Secretary of State. I grew up in a small town in eastern Montana called Isham. Isham is like a lot of other small towns around this state. There was barely 400 people there when I lived there, and the school fit kindergarten through high school down one hallway. Partisan politics doesn't come up a whole bunch in a little town like that. When folks up the road need help changing their irrigation pipes, or when there's sandbags that need to be filled, you do it because your community is counting on you and it's the right thing to do. That's the reason I got involved in politics. That's the reason that I got involved in politics. Registering people to vote. Going out in knee-deep snow. Pouring rain, not too similar to this. Making sure that every Montanan has their voice heard in our democracy. But folks, unfortunately, I gotta tell you, I don't see those same small town values in our capital today. We see some politicians out there that use these important offices as political stepping stones or some sort of trophies. And we have seen the absolute worst of that in a Secretary of State's office run by my opponent that has become plagued with corruption and incompetence. Whether it's handing out government contracts to some of their biggest donors, illegal abuse of state-owned vehicles, hiring her own family members into the office, or having absolutely no plan at all to deal with the threat of COVID-19 and its effects on our democracy, this office has become an absolute mess. But the good news, folks, the good news is that this November, we can clean up this mess. Are you ready to clean up this mess? Folks, we need a Secretary of State that will be an advocate for our outdoor heritage. From hunting and fishing to hiking and biking, our values and our outdoor economy are in the hands of our landlord. You know, I grew up swimming in Flathead Lake and exploring the areas outside of my grandpa's hunting cabin up by Zortman. You know, these public lands are special to me. And any attack on them is something that I take personally. That's why in the legislature, I pushed for bills that would put heavy fines on out-of-staters that want to put up gates and barbed wire to block off our access to our public lands. I pushed back on the special interests that want to sell off our public lands to the highest bidder. And folks, as hard as this is going to be to believe, you have to believe when I tell you this. When a reporter asked my opponent what her vision for the land board was, she told them that she wasn't well versed on what the land board even does. And folks, we cannot trust someone to protect our access to our public lands if after 4 years of serving in that office, she doesn't even know what the job is. Are you ready for a Secretary of State that will keep our public lands in public hands? And of course, folks, our Secretary of State is the defender of our democracy. The person that makes sure that every single one of you, every eligible Montana voter has the opportunity to have their say in our future. And despite the fact that my opponent has spent the last 4 years doing everything she can to put barriers between voters and their ballots to advance her partisan agenda, we have fought back. And I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to send bipartisan bill after bipartisan bill to the governor's desk to make sure that our democracy is more secure, more accessible, and stronger than ever before. I made sure that farmers in eastern Montana don't have to drive hundreds of miles just to cast a ballot. We fought against voter suppression efforts aimed at our Native American brothers and sisters. And when 72,000 Montanans were at risk of losing their ability to cast a ballot, I fought for a fix to make sure that each and every one of you could vote now and forever. And folks, I even passed a couple bills that will help some folks vote that may not be voting for me this year. And that's okay, because it was the right thing to do, and we should always expect a Secretary of State that will put Montana ahead of their own political career. So folks, we've got a battle ahead of us, and we knew that none of this would ever be easy, but I know that together we have tackled every challenge that has come our way. Because when they tried to steal away health care from 90,000 Montanans and shut down our rural hospitals, we fought back and we won. When the special interests tried to pour buckets and buckets of dark money into our state to drown out your voices, to tell you what you're supposed to think or how you're supposed to vote, we fought back and we won. When folks in the legislature tried to push bills that would sell off our public lands to the highest bidder, we fought back and we won. And no matter what they put in front of us this year, we are going to organize, we are going to vote, we are going to fight back, and we are going to win this November. We are 21 days from the most important election of our lifetimes. And the result of that election, the outcome of that election, depends entirely on the work that each and every one of you is going to do between now and the last day of our election, the last ballot that's cast. So I'm asking each and every one of you, will you cast your ballots? Will you volunteer? Will you knock some doors? Will you make some phone calls? Will you fight for our democracy like you have never fought before? This is our moment. This is our democracy. We cannot sit on the sidelines, folks. In 21 days, you all have the ability to decide whether we will have a Secretary of State who has only fought for herself or someone who will always fight for you. Helena, let's get this done. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful night.
Melissa and Shane and Rafe and Bryce. Let's hit it! Alright! Now you guys have probably been at home when folks have knocked on your door and maybe made a phone call or two that you had to pick up. Every one of these folks up here today have a team behind them. And I want to introduce Nick, who's part of that team, part of the folks out here who work hard with no sort of recognition whatsoever, who work very, very hard to get good people elected like we're seeing on our stage tonight. We'll see here for the next 45 minutes or so. So Nick, you want to say a few words?
Hey everyone, thanks for showing up tonight. It means so much to us. You may not recognize me like these other guys up here, but you might recognize the annoying voice who's always calling you on the phone. And that's what we do out here. So thanks for showing up in this absolutely beautiful weather to show your support for these terrific candidates. As one of our supporters put it, you know, these are some of the most hardworking, reliable, honest, and competent Montanans you can find who care about you, your family, your jobs, your health, your education, your environment. We expect this to be one of the closest elections in Montana history, and we have just 3 weeks to do everything that we can to make sure that these candidates get elected and that we can keep Montana the last best place. Yet, let's hear it. But we need your help. Because of this pandemic, hundreds of thousands of Montanans are being forced to change the way that they're used to voting. On top of that, our opponents are doing everything they can to make it more difficult for you to cast your ballot. From interfering with our postal service to suing to block mail-in voting. But voting is not just a right, it is a responsibility. And it is up to all of us to make sure that every single voice in Montana gets heard this year. And so, you may have heard when you were checking in, there is a system that we have been trying to use this year to mitigate the impacts of voter suppression and this pandemic to make sure that everyone is voting. And that's this app that our people have designed called Reach. Has anyone downloaded that app yet? Give me a honk if you have. Awesome, love to hear it. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, please download it now. It's called Reach Progressive Organizing. And this is the way that we're going to make sure that all of you can make sure that all of your friends and family are held accountable to voting this year.
Alright, your turn.
I'm not sure if it's on the screen right now, but once
hold
you've
it up here
downloaded
so it
the
don't
app,
blow.
we have a code that you can put into your phone, and I'm just going to check this there.
Go up further this way.
Okay, so once you have the app downloaded, type that into the app, and that will give you access to what the Secretary of State gives us, which is the file of every registered voter in Montana. And that's your friends, that's your family, that's your neighbors. It's anyone who's eligible to cast a ballot in this state. You can check if people are registered that way, and we can make sure that their ballots have been received. So once you've downloaded the app, click in the middle of the bottom of your screen. There's going to be a little part of it that says My Reach. Click on that, and in the top right, it will say Network. Click on My Network, and once you click on that, there will be a little option in the bottom right that says Import. Click on that, give the app permission to take a look at your contacts. It's
basically, you've probably done this in prior campaigns. It's no different than writing down a list of all the people you know in the state who are supporters, and then having us check if their ballots have been received. This way, we put the ball in your court, and we give you a way to know among the people who you are familiar with whose ballots have been received once it's getting down to the wire. So make sure that you're searching for all of your friends in Reach. It should give you a little option at the bottom of the screen that says search for matching voters in Reach. Click on that and click on the first person once the list of your people come up who says who you know is a voter in Montana. Click on that name. It should give you a matching voter. Click on that. If it's the correct person, take a look at the address and the age, see if it seems like it's the right voter file, and then click Add to My Network. It will take you to the next person. Do that for as many people as you know. Even if it's just a handful, even if it's just 5 or 10, make sure that you're adding everyone you know so that we can make sure every ballot is not just cast but counted this year. Thank you so much for being part of this, and one of my colleagues, Ren, is about to tell you even more about what you can do to help us win this year. Let's hear it for everyone who's volunteering with us, everyone who's voting, and all these terrific candidates. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. So I'm Ren. I'm one of the field organizers here in Helena, and it's really great to see all of you. I think I've talked to a lot of you on the phones, so it's really cool to see everyone here tonight. And I just wanted to talk about why we're here and a little bit more about what we're fighting for. So I grew up pretty much constantly outside. My parents are public school teachers, and they loved to just take me and my sister out and show us the lands that surrounded us. And that was a really big part of my experience growing up and connecting with my community. Politically, I didn't always connect with my community. There were a lot of beliefs that I had that were different from what a lot of people were thinking in my hometown. But I was able to connect with my conservative friends and community because we all loved our public lands. We all loved being outside together, and we all loved just going to the lake and hanging out. So being home for me is being able to spend time outside with people who I love. So now, the public lands that I grew up around and lands all over the West every year are being threatened with increasingly hotter and larger wildfires. So 2 years ago, a small town 20 minutes from my home burned down, and it was a lot of destruction and some recovery since then. And every year now, I wonder if that type of destruction might get even closer to home, and I wonder what kind of recovery we might be able to have after that. So I need a political system that represents our rural communities and that stands up for our rural needs, and also that can bring us together during hard times. So that's what brought me to this work. I'm doing this because we're choosing this year between investment in our communities and big money interests. So this election, we're deciding what our future is going to look like, and we cannot afford to not do everything in our power to make sure that we win. So we have an incredible slate of Democratic candidates here that I'm really proud to work for and who I trust to represent us, because they have always stood up for regular people trying to live good lives. So that's what we're here for. We know that Steve Bullock knows how to manage crises. We know that Bullock, Kathleen Williams, Mike Cooney, and all of our statewide candidates have always stood up for public lands, healthcare, and our education system. We know that these are the candidates that we can trust to represent us. So I know a lot of you have already been spending time volunteering, getting out there, talking to voters, making sure that we can win this year. And thank you so much for being part of this. I know that a lot of you have actually already voted this year, which is incredible. And I'm here to tell you that we do need you to do more this year. We have been coming around to your cars, asking you to maybe sign up for some volunteering with us. and we're going to be talking to voters who maybe haven't decided who they're voting for yet. We're also going to be talking to our Democratic supporters who haven't voted yet and making sure that they make a plan to vote and that they get those ballots turned in. So we need your help. We're here working every day these final 21 days leading up to the election. Our job is to connect you to the most effective way to make an impact this year. So please sign up, please reach out, please get involved. And let's go to
One more time for the stop. All right. That's good. That's really good. Hope you guys, you know, the lights on some of these cars are getting a little dim. I hope your batteries aren't going dead. But it's good. I'm sure they're all running. Look, now we get to hear from Cooney and Schreiner and Kathleen Williams and Steve Bullock. And I have the opportunity to introduce to you somebody who lives in the suburbs of Big Sandy. Somebody who served in the legislature and did a great job in leadership in the Montana House. Somebody who actually brought people together and got things done. Worked with the governor's office and worked with Republicans in the House and the Senate and Democrats in the House and the Senate and got things done. Somebody who's going to make a great lieutenant governor. Casey Schreiner.
Hello, Helena! Yeah, that's right. Okay, we're gonna get right down to it because it is cold and it is crunch time. I'm gonna tell you, as a dad, as the House Minority Leader, as a former educator, we are in the most important election out there. On one side, we have a guy who moved here from New Jersey, a guy who decided to sue you and I because he didn't like to see fishermen out his back window of his mansion. A guy who decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a bunch of money on outsourcing American jobs. A guy who tried to buy the governor's office in 2016, and thank God Mike Cooney and Steve Bullock were there to turn him away, right? Then the guy gets elected to Congress, and what does he do? He goes to Washington, D.C. and rips a $2 trillion hole in our deficit, so my kids and your kids are gonna have to pay that back. A guy that has decided time and time again that Montana values don't matter. And let's just not forget, he also beat somebody up and lied to the police. Is that what we want as a governor? No. Then on the other side, we have my friend, my partner in crime, the guy who has decided to dedicate his life to the people of Montana, the guy who has decided to make the world a better place for your kids, my kids, and all of our grandkids into the future, a guy that has not had to be the face of a movement but has always had all of our backs. Ladies and gentlemen, the next governor of the state of Montana, my friend, Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney. Casey and I have been traveling around the state. We've been talking to Montanans. We've been telling Montanans a simple thing. Montana is not for sale. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. Means that our elections are not for sale. You know, Casey and I fought hard throughout our career to make sure that we tore down barriers to people voting, that we made our system fair so that Montanans were in charge of their elections. My opponent has already spent $3.5 million of his own money in this race. And I'm going to tell you, come November 3rd, we're going to beat him, we're going to send him back to New Jersey. Montana elections are not for sale. Our health care in Montana is not for sale.
Casey and I worked hard to make sure that Montana, we passed the Medicaid expansion. We brought Republicans and Democrats together to get the job done. 90,000 people have health care. People with pre-existing conditions. Our rural hospital system is strong because of the work we did. My opponent is trying to take health care away from Montanans in the middle of a pandemic. That is wrong. Let's send him back to New Jersey. Our public education system is not for sale. We have worked hard to support public education. We know that it's the backbone of our economy, that our kids deserve nothing but the best. We're going to continue to fight for a publicly funded pre-K system in Montana. We're going to make sure education continues to be affordable in Montana. But my opponent says public education is a monopoly. And he says taking public dollars from public education and putting it into private education is a good thing. He wants to defund our public education. Why say no? On November 3rd, we're going to send him back to New Jersey. And let me tell you this one thing right now. We will make sure Montana never has a statewide sales tax. My opponent wants one. He fought for one. We're going to send him home on November 3rd to New Jersey. We need your votes. If you haven't voted, talk to your friends, your neighbors. Get your ballots in. And on November 3rd, we are going to have a Democratic victory in Montana. And we're going to do it because we have you. Thank you all very much. Have a great night. Thank you.
Shriner, the best, baby, the best. You know, I've been in Congress now. I've been in the United States Senate for nearly 14 years.
Too long.
And yeah, thanks. And I've never had anybody in the House of Representatives that I could depend on to help get legislation passed. We had a chance to change that this year, folks. We got a great lady that's running for the House. She worked her butt off in 2018, came close. She's going to win this time. Yes, she is. Give it up for Kathleen Williams!
Hey, did you notice every time that, like, on the reservations, she's always not there? Yeah. But when she's on white man people, white man land, she's there.
To New Jersey, but we're going to send someone packing back to Maryland, right?
Native American tribes.
Get our economy back on track. We got to get this pandemic under control, and we got to come out stronger on the other side, right? The third thing Montanans are telling me on this 78,000-mile 3-year tour is that they want me to go back there and make sure that we protect our beloved outdoor heritage, right? Clean air, clean water, public land, responding to climate change. That's what Montanans are telling me.
What about the native communities? You guys are robbing them from the census. Count them.
So, yeah, okay, go census. Yes, thank you.
The inmates in the institutions aren't counted. Count them.
Let's make sure that we respond to the stories that Montanans are telling
This is the biggest
that
scandal your guys'
traffic
administration had been a part of.
farmer along the front, that
Along with this scandal that's endorsed by your administration.
to pay for his insulin. The young single mom who told me, a stranger, that she was dropping her health care.
What about the native tribes?
The veteran.
What about those veterans on tribes?
In his dress blues,
Those elders?
expressed how concerned he was
The children?
that the world was hurtling towards tyranny. The former retail employee who
They know what you guys are doing.
a third of her salary. We need a deal for those people. We need solutions for those people. We need representation for those people, don't we? So let's talk about why we need to send Maryland Matt back to Maryland on his dime, not ours, right? On health care, I want to expand access to quality, affordable health care. He wants to rip it away. He wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He claims he's lowered health insurance premiums, but he rubber stamped a 23% increase when he first got into office. We don't want that, right? On opportunity, I want to build on Montana's strengths. I want to ensure that we come out stronger on the other side. I want to make sure we support our small businesses and get our employees back to work. His economic plan is all about industrializing our public lands. It's about calling people that are unemployed right now as being on welfare, and it's pulled off the shelf of his DC backers, far-right folks in DC that are bankrolling his campaign. We don't want that, right? On public lands, you remember when he first ran for this seat? His top priority was transferring public lands. I've been a champion for public lands and our outdoor heritage for 37 years, bringing diverse interests together to find win-win-win solutions to really difficult issues. Isn't that what we need in Congress? Right. And let's talk about veterans, right? My father, World War II Lieutenant Colonel, my late husband, Vietnam-era veteran. My opponent, I am committed to veterans and our service
Look
members
at all
and
these
their
natives
families.
that
They
are
have
supporting
earned
him
the
know
programs
this
and the
scandal
services that they
back there
deserve,
that's in the
and
back
we need
right
to
there.
provide them for them. My opponent,
They've been
he voted
blocking
against Gold Star families, helping them buy homes. He voted
to try to help the
against
native communities
Purple
here.
Heart recipients, helping them with a small college stipend. And he voted against the Southwest Montana Veterans Home and the Veterans Home in Butte. He's voting against homeless veterans. We can do better, right? Okay, so you're all going to vote. You're all going to volunteer. You're going to make phone calls. Who wants solutions over gridlock? Who wants that? Who wants leadership over cronyism? Who wants a regular Montanan over a multi-millionaire East Coast developer? And who wants true representation over being bought and sold by special interests? Right. That's what we're going for. That's what's on the ballot on November 3rd. Don't wake up on November 4th wishing you'd made a couple more phone calls. Get out there, help us, help the whole slate. We're going to do this. We're going to save our democracy, and we're going to turn true representation back to this seat in Congress. Thank you.
And we're going to send him back to Maryland, right? Yeah, baby. Look, folks, if we do our jobs, if we get out there and vote, make sure that our friends and neighbors vote for Kathleen Williams, she will be our next U.S. House of Representatives person. Now for the last speaker of the night. We've saved best to last, maybe? Maybe? No? We haven't. They're all saying no. Look, we all know this guy. Governor Bullock has done an amazing job. Over his 10 years Attorney General and as governor,
Working off tribes.
working with everybody who will work with him to try to get things done. he has a tremendous record of accomplishment. I happen to serve with the guy he's running against. The guy he's running against drops in a lot of bills, but damn few of them get across the finish line. Bullock knows how to work with people. He knows how to bring people together. And he will make an amazing United States Senator. Give it up for Steve Bullock!
With all of you in Lewis and Clark County. Look, who we send to Washington, D.C. matters. It matters for who we're going to be fighting for. It matters what they want to do. And look, this isn't always about Democrats or Republicans. It's about the values that you in this community have taught me. You taught me that public education is our great equalizer.
See that one that's talking
Our kids go to the very same school that Lisa and I went to. That's why we brought Democrats and Republicans together. We're investing $175 million each year in our K-12 system. We've frozen college tuition. We brought back need-based aid because a quality, affordable public education is all of our values. And you deserve somebody that'll represent those values. Steve Daines went to Washington, D.C. He was the deciding vote to make Betsy DeVos the education secretary after he took $80,000 from the DeVos family. He's voted to cut Pell funding for our needy students in college. You deserve somebody that's going to represent your interests, not the corporate interests, not the special interests. I learned right here in this community the value of public lands. The first date my wife Lisa and I went on was on Mount Ascension, somewhere back then. We spent a lot of time at the gates of the mountains. Public lands are so important to Montanans. It's more than just something that we all own, the great equalizer. They're part of our economy. A million people in Montana, 12 million visitors to our state each year. They ain't coming for our Walmarts. They're coming to actually enjoy the lands we have. And public lands will never be transferred out of public hands, not on my watch. Yet Steve Daines voted to start transferring those lands. He's taken $50,000 from the Wilkes brothers, those Texans that want to block access to our lands. He actually supported this guy named William Perry Penley, who sued to take away your stream access rights. You deserve somebody that's going to represent your interests, not the corporate interests and not the special interests. We all know here that our vote is our voice, and that voice is stronger than any dark money group, stronger than any corporation. That's why as Attorney General, I actually took Montana's history all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's why as governor I brought Democrats and Republicans together to pass the most progressive laws when it comes to taking dark money out of our elections, banning foreign money in our elections, because making sure our voice matters in elections, that's not a Democratic value, that's not a Republican value, that's a Montana value. Yet while I was suing the IRS to actually disclose donors, Steve Daines was shielding him. He's taken over $2 million out from corporate PACs. Time and time again, he votes against making sure that our voice matters. You deserve somebody that will represent your interests, not the corporate interests and not the special interests. Healthcare is so important to all Montanans. It's important to Montanans. It's important to our community and our economy. That's why I brought Democrats and Republicans together to expand affordable access through Medicaid expansion to 90,000 Montanans. We actually saved our rural hospitals. We've taken on the drug companies and the insurance
Hey, those
companies.
are those two right there, those two native chicks.
Steve Daines
that was
voted
fucking
to
blocking
strip
us
away coverage
to fucking
for
get
those
to
with
Bullock.
pre-existing conditions. Not once, not twice,
They're the
5
ones that were
times.
fucking like
and
blocking us
to. Right now, he's pushing to make
These
sure
ones
a
are
new
right here.
justice is confirmed. So a week after the election, when the Supreme Court hears, at the end of the day,
whether they're going to take away coverage for pre-existing conditions. He's taken $700,000 from the drug and insurance companies. We deserve access to affordable care. We don't deserve somebody that's going to be with the corporate interest and the special interest. We deserve somebody that's going to fight for Montana interests. I learned in this community that everybody should be paying their fair share. That's why we actually brought Democrats and Republicans together to help our small businesses, eliminate the business equipment tax for them, invest in workers along the way, because making sure our small businesses can thrive, those aren't Democrat or Republican values, those are Montana values. And at the same time, Steve Daines actually was so proud that he was part of those tax cuts that Lindsey Graham said he had to get through to make their donors happy. I will never vote for a bill that makes it so that my kid's teacher pays more in taxes than 60 Fortune 500 companies like Amazon and Chevron. We deserve somebody who's going to fight for our interests, not the corporate interests and not the special interests. I learned growing up in Helena the value of $1 and recognize that we need to make sure that treat our taxpayer dollars like they're our own, to be careful with them. There's a reason why we've actually now have a fire fund, a budget stabilization reserve. We've kept our budget
treat native
balanced along the way.
Treat native funds like they're your own anyway.
Values. Those are Montana values. But what does Steve Daines push for? $2 trillion additional debt from that tax cut that'll go on to our kids and our grandkids. We deserve somebody that's going to represent your interests, not the corporate interests and not the special interests. Folks, 3 weeks from tonight, we're going to decide for all these folks that you've heard from, whether they're going to be representing our needs, whether they're going to be representing you, or whether you're going to have representation from the corporate interests and the special interests. So I ask of you, I know that every single one of them aren't going to leave one day to spare. We don't want to wake up the day after the election saying, if only we'd done a little bit more, we still would have access to affordable health care. We'd have quality public education. We'd be keeping our public lands in public hands. We'd be fighting for main streets along the way. We don't want to wake up saying, oh, we could have done more. So I ask you to talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, make some phone calls, talk to them about the importance of this election. We don't want to leave anything over the next 21 days. I so appreciate you all coming out tonight.
The next 21 days?
I so appreciate what you've done for me and my family as we've been raised here. But more than that, and also what you've done for me as I've asked for your vote time and time again. Please make sure this is, as they said, the most important election in our lifetime. Let's not leave anything on the field by the end of it. Thanks so much, Helena, for coming out. Thanks for what you've done for me in the past, and thanks for what you're going to do over the next 21 days. Thank you, and let's get these candidates back up here.
Should I run up there with the sign?
Get up here, Chester.
I wish you had your megaphone.
I know.
So, Montana tribes are going to miss out on $80 million because of these people on this stage today. We've been reaching out to them since April to get this resolved, but they won't do nothing.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
So, census. Where are they at?
I'm Caroline Bullock. I'm Alex. And I'm Cam. Our dad likes to talk about us. This time, we're here to talk about him. They're teenagers. What could go wrong? My dad loves Montana. It's where he grew up. He was raised in a single-parent household and met our mom, Lisa, at the same school we go to. Go Bengals! I love fishing with him. I love running with my dad. He was by my side when I got my first buck. We'll be hiking, and he'll always be like, and you know what's great? Every one of us
all of these public lands.
I'm really proud of the work that he's done for our education system. He's been fighting against secret money and politics since before I was born. Practically since he was born. I love teasing him. When he's talking, he's like this. He does not know how to whisper. This is Steve, boy. Hope they don't bring up the dancing. He may not be a great dancer, but he is a great dad. He's doing the best job that he can for my generation and for the generations to come. And if you want to know what kind of senator he'll be, just look at what he's done as governor.
I'm Steve Bullock, and you bet I approve this message.
In Montana, you either embrace our way of life or you get out of our way. We respect the land, respect our right to own a gun, and respect the farmers and ranchers, those who've worked the land for generations. We honor our veterans like my dad and late husband with far more than lip service. And we don't buy the nonsense coming out of Washington. I've spent much of my life protecting what makes Montana special. And I'm not afraid to get my hands a little dirty to get the job done. I'm Kathleen Williams, and I approve this message.
Hey there, I'm Mike Cooney. It's true. Early on, I chose to dedicate my life to public service. But boy, I dreamt of doing this instead. Anyway, as governor, I've got the track record to deliver affordable health care, protect our public lands, create jobs and opportunity, and to bring Montanans together to get it all done. Because that's really my thing, right? 1, 2.
This one's for the self-starters and the selfless never-stoppers, for the job creators and the legacy carriers, for the bridge builders and the problem solvers. This one's for open spaces, honest races, and getting back to basics. For those tired of backroom deals, for everyone ready for a leader who puts Montana first. Bryce Bennett for Secretary of State.
There's a lot of noise out there, but it shouldn't be complicated. The Attorney General should be independent. My opponent is a partisan extremist who said he'd rip away health care protections and sell off our public lands. I'm Rafe Graybill. I fought to protect our public lands, and I won. I've sued the feds and won. I will be an independent watchdog. I'll protect our health care, and I'll stop the price gouging of prescription drugs. It's that simple. Now let's enjoy some quiet.
My opponent's not from Montana. He's from San Diego. And that's why I couldn't get a hunting license here. Wasn't a problem for me. In Helena, I work with both parties to protect Montana's way of life. And as auditor, I'll work to protect health care for folks with pre-existing conditions. Crack down on short-term junk insurance and investment fraud so that you can enjoy what really matters.
The book on Montana schools is far from finished. I'm Melissa Romano, and it's time to write a new chapter.
Let's go to the
street. As a mom of 4, a public school teacher,
that way, because I'm still live.
I know every child deserves an
27?
Yeah, those two ladies that were there were the ones that were blocking
We
us.
might spend another night. We're not sure yet.
That one. See, well, we'll roll this video back and you'll see who they are.
Do you want to go this way?
Yeah, go that way. Oh, look, he's right there. Hurry up.
Which one?
See that white one?
Because we have a lot of veterans here. And it's time we say thank you.
Or is it? Oh, that's a different
In the
one.
making for decades, the 60-bed retirement home for veterans.
The government did not have money.
What's in there?
Governor Bullock negotiated
Yeah.
the budget of Montana to get money to
Is it?
start the project.
It was a critical difference.
Governor Bullock stepped up to the plate and did everything he could to make this happen. Chief Gaines was one of the people that voted against that.
We
voted against it, and that was critical to a small state like this. We
have
many veterans issues. But then, of course, when it came time to break ground, he was the first to run out there and get his picture taken as if he did. I was at the groundbreaking, and there were many of us looking at each other and saying, this is the same guy that voted against the VA budget. Steve Bullock's the guy that we're going to count on because he's already proven himself. I know he cares about Montana.
I wonder who's all in there.
I'm Steve Bullock, and I approve this message.
See, they never came back with that sheet that told me, remember? They're like, we'll be back.
Hey, grab those.
What's that?
Grab those signs.
It is time to restore
Because we can use those for our thing.
focused leadership at the Office of Public Instruction.
Oh, this is that guy. Never mind. That's theirs
There is
to.
a dangerous movement in this country right now to take the struggle
See, check out the back of their board. That's
and your
cool.
family and your
It
loved
is.
ones, and to use
It's a
those
nice one.
struggles as an excuse
Oh.
Hi, hello.
to protesters
Yeah.
away their health care.
Yes, the protesters.
Yeah, we're trying to get them to count the guys incarcerated because it's going to affect the tribes, and they're not doing it. We've been chasing them for a minute, and they keep brushing us off, and it's gonna hurt a lot of Native families out there on the res, and they're going around trying to
Count them in
get.
the census?
Yeah, so they're not doing it, and they can. They got 21 days to fix this, but we got over 3,000 voters that are on hold because of that, and they're not going to apply those votes if he don't fix that. And it's just doing the right thing, doing his job, you know.
We're doing everything we can to make sure that everyone on the reservations get counted.
No, I'm talking
Not
about the natives that are in the
prisons. That's where the.
There's over 2,000 Native Americans in prison right now that they won't count according to the tribe.
And there's like $80 million.
There's a federal law that they're supposed to be counted, and they're not letting it happen. So,
Hey, well,
and we're not anti-Bullock. We're
Yeah.
anti-do the right. I mean, we're saying do the right thing here.
We're actually for Bullock, but you know we're disappointed because he's going around feeding lies to the tribes and stealing behind their backs. $80 million.
It's worth $80 million.
So.
hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing. We want to make sure that everyone gets counted in the census, that everyone gets registered to vote. We're fighting for that, whether it's in the prison system, on the reservation, anywhere.
Tell your people about this specific group of people. There's 4,500, maybe 4,600 people that are incarcerated. Nobody got to answer their own census form, and it's not just for natives; it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Every color is being misrepresented in the census through the incarceration system.
Absolutely.
Of
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a good night. Pass the word, bro.
We got more people than you.
He's all tall. He's like, "Are you the protesters?"
Yeah, like.